Hi, my name is George Lohay. Actually, I should say Dr. George Lohay. I am a postdoctoral research fellow from Penn State University, and I'm here with Dr. Dan Wanyama. Dan Wanyama is a postdoctoral research associate at University of Oklahoma. He just recently graduated from Michigan State University. He's an expert on GIS and spatial analysis in geography department. And we are here to provide some basic information for most of African students who are interested in applying to graduate programs here in the US. We may have some clues as well or tips for those who are interested in applying in Europe, but we are mainly focusing in the US because that's where we are mostly experienced. I have been here in the US for almost 7-8 years now because I came in 2014. So is Dan. Dan came, I think, a year later. Is that right?
Yep.
Yes. So we just want to share the whole process. I know there are some people who lack this information, and that may be very helpful. So just to start, I will ask Dr. Wanyama to just briefly tell us about the whole experience when you're applying for graduate program. How was the process? And I have to mention Dan is from Kenya.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Lohay. Like Dr. Lohay mentioned, Dan Wanyama, I'm from Kenya. I've been here since 2015. I started off doing a master's at the University of North Alabama from 2015 to 2017. And then I joined Michigan State University where I did my PhD and just recently graduated a little bit less than a month ago. And now I'm postdoctoral research fellow or research associate. Now, my experience, everyone always, each person has a different experience with the application process. Mine started in 2014, around August. Usually it takes almost a year before you apply and submit everything and hear back from the schools about the process and whether you got admitted and got funded or not. So it was all about the internet, I would say, just searching on the internet because I knew what I wanted. I had an undergrad in environmental studies, so I wanted to switch and do something that was more analytical. So I wanted GIS and remote sensing. So I was looking for schools, and that took a while. Of course, you receive several emails that they either misunderstand or they just tell you point blank that you probably are not qualified with your background, and you don't give up, right? You don't give up. There's a time you actually hit the jackpot, like they say. So I ended up getting a University of North Alabama for that specific year. The master's application time, I only applied to one school.
Wow.
Yeah, but the key is usually because and we will talk about this later on, but the key is to make sure that you are not just applying blindly. You need to let the department know that you are actually interested. They will tell you if they want you or they do not, or if they have funding or they do not. All these kinds of questions you get answers to when you ask whether a school is, whether it admits international students to start off with, or whether you qualify. If you send them your transcripts, do they see you as a fit or not? Is there a professor that will work with you in the department? Things like this. But yeah, that is very briefly my process. And I can keep talking about this because
Yeah, let me just interrupt you. So the whole process definitely needs a lot of determination, but I just want to know what motivated you to apply.
Yeah, I usually have two answers to that question. First of all, because being in the field back in Kenya in 2013 up to 2012 and 2013, I realized I really wanted something that I could do some analysis. You know, I did not just want to go to the field, collect data, and then put the files away and never do any kinds of analysis, because that's what I was doing in my job then. You know, it was all about just collect information, bring it in the office, and then wait for report writing at the end of the year. I wanted something. I was experiencing all these these things in the field, just like climate change is real, and it's affecting people in a similar way, different yet very similar. And I was in central Kenya, I was in Western Kenya, I was born in Western Kenya, and then I was in the Lake region. People had similar stories, similar struggles. And then I kept asking myself, what can I do to make it better? Because, you know, if they say there is a lot of data out there, and the climate, one of the reasons why we struggle with climate change is because we do not have sufficient information about the changes. I was like, what can I do with the data that is available out there to help people make decisions, more informed decisions about climate change, so they can survive this thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and you also mentioned that you need to contact the school.
Yeah.
Before you start the application. Is that what you did?
Yes, it is very important. It is very important because, first of all, there is a sudden cost that comes with this whole application process. You know, especially if you're making the very first application. The very first application will require you to do like the test of English as a foreign language. You will be required probably to do the graduate record exams, the GRE. It will probably, some schools require that you do a credential evaluation where you kind of convert your grades to a US 1 to 4 scale, you know, so like yeah, and all this costs something. So we are talking about maybe $1,200, $1,300. So you do not want to waste that money if you are not
sure.
at least sure that you will be considered. So first of all, contact your school, the schools that you are interested in. Most of the departments here, they list the faculty, the list of faculty members and their interest and their teaching, the classes they teach and the research they do. And there are their emails as well. So just like looking through and then finding someone that fits your interest and emailing that person and asking them, hey, I'm interested in working with you. I wonder if you're taking students for the next academic year, or I wonder if you guys have opportunities for people like me to study in your institution. That alone can answer so many questions. Then you will decide whether you want to continue with the application or not. Yes.
That's very interesting. Thank you very much. I think we'll go into the details later in our discussion. Yeah, but thank you very much for that brief introduction and this kind of, I should say congratulations. Looks like you did a lot of work.
Thank you.
For me, the experience is a little bit different, but
would you please share with us how it was for you?
All right. Yes. So I started developing an interest studying abroad back in 2000 11, I could say.
Okay.
And I ended up going to Uganda and I did another bachelor degrees in philosophy. It's a long story, so I won't go into the details. But as I was completing my program in Uganda, I started applying for different scholarships. So I landed into one scholarship in UK, actually, Imperial College London.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So they were looking for students in sub-Saharan Africa, and Tanzania is one of the countries that was listed. And I applied. Unfortunately, I didn't pass the interview to get the scholarship. However, the university offered me an admission.
Okay.
So I was admitted into the program. I think it was Masters in Ecology and Evolution. And I was very happy to see that, okay, with my credentials, with my CV, it looks like I can get into these big schools, because Imperial College London is one of the best schools in the UK. And especially with ecology and biodiversity conservation, that was one of the big shots. So I was very happy to get that opportunity. However, the tuition fee was not covered. So I had to find an alternative. Either you have to look for sponsorship elsewhere or look for another school. So I went for the second option of looking for another school. As I was looking through different contacts, I had to contact some potential people in Tanzania. I remember I had to be in touch with a professor who was teaching at Nelson Mandela University by then. Her name is Anna Estes. I have to just acknowledge that. And Anna Estes was in the program that was collaborative between herself and Penn State University. And they were undergraduate students who were coming to Tanzania for study abroad program. And there were some students who had just done the last minute cancellation, 3 of them. Okay. And so they had hired 3 vehicles and they had less students. And they were like, George, will you be interested to go to Serengeti with these students? I was like, why not? How can you refuse that? And then so immediately after I got into that program with those students, the first night, I didn't lose the opportunity. I talked to the professor. So the professor was the head of biology department by then. And we were just around the fireworks, like during the evening around fire, we were by Lake Natron. And I just told this professor, I am interested in studying in the US. And he told me, oh, can you tell me what's your background? I told him my background. I studied at the University of Dar es Salaam, Wildlife Science and Conservation. And then he's like, hey, I think you have a good chance to apply for a program at Penn State. I was like, okay, I will look at different master's program. And he was like, no, actually, you can apply for PhD. I was like, really? And now we're talking about, it was May. It was early May. And so what this professor did was just to tell me, go to the website, apply. Once you're done with the application, let me know. That's what he said.
Wow.
Having said that, I did not know the whole process. So I did not have this information, which we are actually sharing right now. So what happened is I had to just remember the name of the university, Penn State University. And then I started going through different departments. One of them was ecology and biology and all those kind of things. But then I looked at the requirements and then I learned that we are supposed to do GRE, which is the required exam, and also TOEFL. Remember, this professor wanted me to go in the fall, that is in August. So I had like 3 months, literally 3 months.
Yeah.
So, and I had to wait for the program to end because the program was running for 2 weeks, but I had to ask days off, and I accessed internet within Serengeti, and then I started doing a lot of research. So I had to learn within that very short time that I'm supposed to prepare a personal statement. I'm supposed to do GRE, and I couldn't do that because we had the center in Dar es Salaam. But I will share more details later. But what I want to say is I had to do all that. At the end of the day, in August 19, I was here and I started the program with the rest of students who started applying a year earlier. So,
and I think that it is key to mention that you applied outside of the application period, because I think the deadline is like December, right?
Exactly. So it was a unique situation.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Cool deal.
Yeah. So having said that, maybe we can just go through some aspects here to which you have highlighted here. So what are the common things that people need to know when they're applying to schools in abroad?
I think that like, just taking my story and your story, we have totally different stories, but then of course you had to write a personal statement. You had to apply. You actually have to apply, and you probably paid an application fee, did you?
Now talking about that.
You didn't?
No. Talking about that, I have to say, wherever in Swahili we normally say penye nia pana njia.
Yeah.
Where there is can you translate that?
Where there is where there is something, there is a way. Where is it? What is it?
That thing, like
I
nia.
did Swahili long time ago, man.
Yeah, so if you are aiming at something, okay, so it's like aiming at something, there's always a way around it. So remember, during that time when I was applying, I had just completed another undergraduate degree program and I did not have money. So all these application fee and they required a lot of money. And what I did, I actually had to ask my relatives. I am grateful that my brothers and sisters were very supportive. They contributed for me just the way we normally contribute if you're having a problem or if you're having a wedding. So I remember there's maybe 2 or 3 of my sisters contributed like about $50 to make payment for GRE, to make payment for TOEFL, and then to make payment for the application fee. So the whole process, I had to ask my relatives, and I know everyone has a network. Like within their network, they have some people that they can rely on. Just don't hesitate to ask, and people will support you. So I was supported. I didn't have money to pay for GRE or for TOEFL or for application fee, but because I trusted the process, I believed that I will get into the program. So I think my brothers and sisters also were having a lot of trust in me, and I have to be very grateful for Guelph family. Yeah.
So, and I mean, same to me. I didn't really have this money. I had to get support, and in my village we say, when a child is born, the child belongs to the community, not just the two parents. So I'm a true child of the community, because people came in handy to help me out with the whole application process, But again, the baseline is, if you want to do something, you can. If you really want to do something, you can do it. Not even money will stop you. Yeah. And another common thing is that there has to be some kind of connection to the program you are trying to apply to. So George, you met this professor and you talked to him, and then he said, and then for me, I just looked through the department websites, and then I found this professor. I was like, wow, did he say he does study abroad programs in Tanzania? And then he had a Swahili last name, so I was like, he has to be a Tanzanian. So I contacted this professor, And all this while I knew he was Tanzanian, but when I got here, I learned that he's actually Kenyan. Yeah, but you cannot apply blindly. You have to do your research. You have to, yeah, it is important. Otherwise, you are wasting your money. I mean, chances are you may be selected, but then they are very minimal. And we will talk about the process, and you will know why your chances are minimal if you just apply blindly.
Awesome. Okay, why can't we just jump in and start discussing the process? So we have a list here of things that you need when considering graduate study, especially in the US. So there's one bullet point which may be scary for most people. There is always a cost. Nothing is free. What do you mean here?
There is no free thing. There is no such thing as free. No one will just hand you a scholarship. No one will just hand you a sponsorship. No one will just say, hey, give you a call and say, hey, now you are accepted in a program that is fully funded. Now you can just come. In fact, we will buy you a ticket. We will get you a visa. That doesn't happen. You have to be ready to pay something. You have to also be ready to do the work. At the end of the day, it all starts and stops with you, the person who is interested in coming. If you reach out to me, I'll be willing to give you some of the materials. I will tell you, maybe consider a certain school, consider this school, consider that school. Maybe write an email like this to talk to the professors. But then at the end of the day, you're the person who's supposed to do the things. Now, the reason why we put the first bullet point in caps is because, you know, there is a substantial amount of money you end up paying. So the application fee usually ranges between $65 to about $110. And when you convert that to Kenyan money, you're talking about several thousands, like maybe close to 10,000, 11,000 Kenya shillings. So that is a substantial amount of money. And that is just one of the costs. The other cost is you probably will need to do GRE, and then you will probably need to do TOEFL. You will probably need to do the credential evaluation if that school requires it. And then even your own, you know, just stuff like mailing materials mailing materials, or just getting your transcripts from your former university. It also costs some money. So in the end, if you're just making your first submission, it looks like having about $1,500 is kind of like the minimum. But then again, we will talk about special cases in which sometimes you can be, they can waive the requirement for TOEFL, or they can waive the requirement for GRE and things like that.
Yes, we should also mention that when you do GRE or TOEFL, these are standardized tests that most universities require, but there are some universities which have started discouraging the use of GRE in their applications. However, you can use the same results for more than one university for up to 2 years. So the good thing is you will only do that exam once or twice, and then you have a window of 2 years to apply, right?
Actually, TOEFL, you can use it for 2 years. GRE, you can use it for 5 years.
Okay, so that's very good news. So you
can do a master's with the same GRE scores, and then when you apply for PhD, you can use the same ones.
Yes, so it's not a very tedious process. I mean, if other people have done it, you can also do it. It only requires a lot of dedication and commitment and determination. And when you do that exam, so for those who are in Tanzania, I know we'll go into the details, but I have to just say it now. For those who are in Tanzania, there is a center in Dar es Salaam. I think it is Mwalimu Nyerere University in Kigamboni. And then also, I don't know if they have other branches, but those are the branches that I knew when I was there. By the time I was applying, they probably have other places, but you can look it up. So you can do GRE and TOEFL test in Kigamboni in Dar es Salaam. But the other thing I wanted to mention, which is very important, is the second bullet here, that there are several forms of support that we have here in the US. For example, we have teaching assistantship, research assistantship, and fellowships that you can apply and get it. And the way the system works here in the US is very different from some universities in the European countries, because they apply, like they have some scholarship that are listed and you have to apply, and then they go through the tedious process of getting candidates. Here in the US, what they do is for you to come with your resume and say, I am George Lohay. I want to come to your university because I am the best candidate, because I have this working experience, and I know I can teach this class, and I know I can do this kind of research, and my education will have a lot of implication in conservation or in whatever field you are at. And then when they look at your application, they will see why they should pick you and not the other person. So what I'm saying is you have to really sell yourself as a product. And that's one thing that we really don't emphasize in our education system, because we are trying to be very humble, and we don't want to brag that we are good. But this is the time that you have to tell people that you are good. If you don't, then who will? So you have to really know your strength, and like what contributions are you bringing to that university for them to offer you a scholarship or tuition fee. Tuition fee here is very expensive, I must say, for undergraduates or for graduate programs for 1 year could go up to 30,000.
Yeah, or more.
Yeah, or more. So we are talking about like university covering that cost for 5 years or for 3-4 years, depending on the program. And what will you do for that university for them to sponsor you like that? So what they do is to make sure that they have good candidates that they can use them in a good way, of course. So you will be you for example, if they give you teaching assistantship, it means you'll be taking classes at the same time you are teaching undergraduates. If you're a research assistant, it means you'll be working on your thesis, taking classes at the same time, doing research for your professor. And you have to be productive, and productivity is measured by the number of publications or the contributions you have in the research. So, and the other thing is you can bring money into the university. Let's say I'm in the field of conservation biology, and I applied for a fellowship which was under Wildlife Conservation Society. It was they advertised the position for someone who wants to go for graduate school in the US, and I was already in the US. I applied anyway, and I got scholarship for 2 years, and they covered stipend. It was substantial amount of money. That money comes to the university, and then they pay you as a research assistant, So so you have to see like what are you bringing to the university, and that's why they have to offer you a position and not the other person. Maybe you can go and talk about the third bullet here.
You need to position yourself to be selected, like George is saying. And for you to do that, you need to do your own research. You need to know, first of all, know yourself, know what you want, and then also look at the kind of schools you want to consider. If I talk to people randomly, and they talk to me about they want to go to Harvard, they want to go to Stanford, they want to go to Yale. You probably can, okay? But I'm just saying that for you to raise your chances of getting selected and being admitted and given funding, you need to consider all aspects of the schools that you are considering. One of the things, look at the classification of this. If you are more interested in research, and therefore maybe you are interested more in research assistantships, we do have R1 institutions, which are like research intensive universities. And then we have like schools that have, the intensive, but not as intensive as R1, they are R2. And then after that, I think we do have like R3 or something like that. And then we do have teaching universities, which are usually just like you can get a teaching assistantship. So you probably teach one class or help a professor teach 2 classes or something within a semester, things like that. You need to also consider the ranking of the schools. We do have the schools that are very highly ranked, the Harvards and the Yale. And when they are highly ranked, chances are that their acceptance rate is very low, So one thing you need to consider, just all this information is on Google. Just look up, I don't know, Harvard University acceptance rate. You will find a percent, which means of all the people that apply to that school, that is roughly the percent that they end up taking. So if the higher this percent, the bigger the chances of you getting into a program. Okay. Yeah. Do you want to talk to us about the very limited undergrad opportunities?
Yes. So undergraduate education is very expensive here in the US, and of course it's true for other countries as well. Unfortunately, there are very limited opportunities for scholarships because, again, we go to point number 1.
Yeah.
There is always a cost. Nothing is free. So they normally look at undergraduate and they say, like, what are they going to get out of undergraduate? And please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying undergraduates are useless.
That's
I'm not saying
saying.
that. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that there are no room for employment for undergraduates that are substantial that most professors would hire undergraduates. So they want to go with people who already have the first degree so that they can just jump into the program and learn fast and start being productive.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's the main thing. There are some countries which have very special programs for like scholarship within the country. I know of Rwanda. I think they have presidential scholarship where they send, I think, about 100 students every year. It could be more, but they have some programs. But also we know the history of Rwanda. So there are some aspects that have kind of favored that, and they're reaching out, and they have so many opportunities. But now we talk about those. It's not everyone in Tanzania, Kenya, or other country who is not able to pay school fees on their own. So we are providing this information for the broader spectrum. So for those who have ability to pay tuition fee for their children and they want to study in the US, there are a lot of options. And maybe Dan, you can talk about the options that they have.
We do have a broad range of universities here. Again, they also go with the ranking. You can go to a small school that charges maybe about $7,000 or $10,000 a semester. Okay. And that is like some of the lowest you will get. Okay. But then we do have we have like community colleges, which are usually like 2-year program institutions, which I think they are a little bit cheaper, and people go to these community colleges sometimes, and then they get some experience, and then they transfer to a university for undergrad. Okay. And then of course the more expensive universities as well. But if you are able to pay for like for your child's education here, there are many options. There are actually more options, because one of the reasons that that we get many people do not get to come over to the US to study is the cost. So if you can cover the cost, then you are kind of sorted. And I have seen from experience, we do have people who have used agents, like they employ an agent to kind of find education opportunities in the US or in another country, find information about the application process, and then they reach out to their family and they tell them to apply, and then they do, and then the agents can do most of the work that needs to be done, and then this student can come over to study. But of course that comes with a cost. I wanted to digress a little and mention the fact that we do have some fellowships which are like kind of like as like scholarships in some universities. We do have like independent companies or organizations that kind of fund some form of undergraduate studies and some graduate studies as well. I want to mention the MasterCard Foundation. I mean, it is known to bring in students from Africa, some who come to do undergrad and others who come to do graduate studies. I think they might still be doing that, but for you to know, you will need to go to their website, like the MasterCard Scholars Program, to look at it. But that is like some of the sources of funding. They are very limited, very, very limited, but some exist out there. Yeah. That's pretty much it, right?
Yes. So what we will do, I will stop sharing the screen now, and then Dan has a more extensive document that he prepared. You can share that, and then we will just go through it very briefly, and then we will provide an opportunity for those people who would like to get to know, like they require more information. We can be in touch. We will provide them with email address, but you can also leave a comment in this video that will be uploaded on YouTube. And think that will be the easiest way. So what if you just go ahead and start explaining some of the aspects that you've summarized here? It's a very comprehensive information.
Yeah, so most of this information we have talked about it, but I guess it is better because it's in writing, and it's also providing some links to resources that I used back in 2014 and 2015 when I was applying. And this is the kind of email I send to people who reach out. So like if you reach out to me and you are trying to apply to programs, I will send you this email. And then when you reply, I will know the way forward, right? I just want to mention that 95% of the people do not reply to this email. And I guess you can tell why, because I have like $160, $220, or $204. So when they see that, they're like, I don't know if I want to do this.
Yeah, I'll get back to you later.
Yeah. So anyways, so we do, the first thing we mentioned, you have to find the schools, and the schools here, they do very well documenting the professors that are working in a certain department. They list their research and then their emails. Do not be fooled. People here, they actually reply to emails, okay? People reply to emails, and they give you an equal chance to explain yourself. So don't feel shy. Don't fear to email people. Okay. And then I just talk about the fact that we need to do TOEFL, the test of English as a foreign language. And most of the materials you will find on ETS, www.ets.org. And then another thing that is usually a requirement is the GRE. And when I was applying, there was this tool called, there was a software called Power Prep, which was very helpful. But then now I have had this link since 2015, but now when I click it, it says it cannot be found. But I imagine that maybe Power Prep is still somewhere. We can check online to see.
There are books as well, and there are some people who have made tutorials, and they have there's a lot of information out there.
Yep. And so the one good thing about Power Prep was it was providing a PDF document that will help you prepare for your GRE test. So the GRE test is divided into 3 sections. So one is the verbal, and then another is the quantitative, and then the third, which is a very small piece of it, is the analytical. Okay. Now the analytical is usually graded from I think it's from 0 to 6, or maybe 1 to 6. Okay, that is separate. But then the quantitative and the verbal each is scored out of 170. So you will hear schools talking about a combined score of this and this. That means the verbal combined with the quantitative. But usually they have the highest mark you can get is 340. And so many schools will talk about 310, maybe getting 300, 305.
Or a minimum of 280, or a minimum of,
yeah. Okay, and all these things, actually, they cost money. So TOEFL, the last time I did it, it cost me $160. And then the GRE cost me $220. And the credential evaluation that I did was 204, but not many schools require the credential evaluation. So that's
my school didn't require that.
Yeah,
I think they had a software within their system that you enter your GPA and then it will convert automatically or something.
Okay.
Yeah, which was very helpful.
The one positive thing, I don't know if it's positive really, but the one thing I also have to mention is the fact that we've had cases of multiple schools suspending the requirement for GRE because of the coronavirus for the most part, and then another because of the fact that now GRE is falling out of favor because it doesn't really represent, the ability of the students to make it in graduate school.
I think there's a study which just was done recently, and they tried to see if there's any correlation between the highest GRE score and success in completing graduate program.
And
there was there's no correlation. So someone may get very high score and then doesn't complete the program, and someone who didn't actually complete the program. So
so we have all these things for you to consider, and the reason we have a point in the other document saying specific information will come in round 2. Dr. Lohay will mention that.
Yes. So this is just very general information. We want to provide as much as we can, and we are just doing this as free service. We are not expecting anything. Our happiness is for you to find your whatever you want to do, like school wise. If you use this information and be aggressive enough to apply and get into the program. That is our happiness as well. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to kind of share this information, because some of us did not have this information, but we were lucky to land into good hands. And I know there are so many brilliant young girls and boys, men and women who did not have this access to information, and we just want to use this opportunity and just provide. And for all those parents who have the young ones and they just want them to come to the US and they have ability to do that, please go ahead, and we have a lot of resources we can provide. We may not have answers to everything, but we will provide you with the experience that we have. And I hope that that itself is helpful and encouraging. And we may not be available to answer all the emails, but we will try our best for those people who are very serious to reach out.
Yeah, completely. So I guess we will need to share our emails.
Yep, maybe you can just write the email there. You can write your
my email is danwanyama1@gmail.com.
Mine is ggualtu@yahoo.com.
ggualtu@yahoo.com. Right?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah,
and
so feel free to email us if you have any questions.
and also try to write a decent email. Explain yourself. Don't just put one heading is like nipe link. Just give me a link or nipe michongo.
Yeah. The more informative your email will be, the better the reply we will send to you. I think we needed to mention too that usually the admission process here is usually in August. So people come in August to study, but the whole application process starts somewhere from August, September, or October, somewhere around there. And sometimes it goes all the way up to like February or March. Okay. Yeah, so you apply around October and you can hear back around March or April about the results.
Yes, I also remembered one point. I had a roommate who applied to more than 6 schools. So after he did his GRE and TOEFL within that window, he applied to 6 schools and then he got 2 and then he chose 1. So you can also do the same. I mean, we are talking about a substantial amount of money you invest, but if you are really determined and you want to get into the program, you go for it.
Yeah, I usually advise people not to apply to less than 5 schools. Okay, I know for the first time you're doing it, it's going to cost you, but then the moment you have your GRE, you have your TOEFL, then the only thing
statement.
You have your personal statement. The next, the only thing you need to do is to pay the application fee. That's it. Okay, and then if you are in a school that taught your undergrad in English, I have seen people email the schools for a waiver, and some of them get the waiver for TOEFL specifically. So you don't have to do TOEFL, because the reason you do TOEFL is to make sure that you actually know English, which is going to be the language of instruction here. So if you already know English, then you do not really need to do TOEFL, and some schools understand, and therefore they waive that. So yeah.
But your English has to be good also.
Yeah, definitely.
You don't request for a waiver and then you know
That is correct. Yeah.
But anyway, I think this information will be very helpful, and we really wish you all the best. and don't hesitate to reach out to us. And we are just offering a free service. And so be aware of time as well. So if you write your email, be very specific to what kind of information you want, and then we can reach out to you as well. And also, to be helpful, you can email both of us so that one of us maybe will have time and reply. And having said that, I think we can end here, and we will probably have another meeting for other people who will be so much interested to know more, and we will probably use the mail list based on your communications, and then we can reach out to them, and then we can have something like a webinar or a Zoom meeting where we'll have a lot of like Q&As.
Yeah. Well, this has been a very interesting session, and I just hope that people get to use this information. We did not have this kind of information. These are just the tips we gathered on our way while studying here, while working with other students. And so some of the things that made their applications successful, these are the things we have told you, and we hope you can utilize that opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wanyama, for your time. And I know
thank you.
There's a lot we can share, but we can end here now, and then we will definitely make a follow-up for those people who will be serious.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Wakati mwema.
Haya, nawe pia basi tutaongea.
Asante.
Haya, poa.